the henna just in time for Halloween, so we can do a nice stamp across someone's face. And then the next week after that, we have a movie, inshallah. So a lot of stuff. But today, inshallah, we're going to do some calligraphy. So as promised, you'll get a few minutes here of me flapping my gums, and then you'll actually get to play with this, which is why you're here. But inshallah, we should have some idea of what we're going to talk about. So the first question, of course, why we have calligraphy in Islam, and I'm sure you all can tell me that. Who wants to give us an answer? Why is this Arabic calligraphy so big in Islam? Yes, ma'am.
They're not allowed to depict pictures of Allah or anything like that.
You're right, like the avoidance of representing live subjects. Now you're going to see some that do look like live subjects, but the whole idea of, if you go into like an Orthodox cathedral, you have pictures of saints all over the place, pictures of people. So the idea that this is considered by many to be kind of a form of idolatry, so we don't do that. So like for example, in Saudi Arabia, you can't find a statue of a person. There's no statue of the king standing. Now you go to Egypt, they're all over the place. But this is sort of the idea, because you know this, right? What happened? Like imagine if somebody put up a statue of a big tower, like where everyone could see it. What's going to happen? We'll all start going around waving, worshiping towels and be crazy. Right, so the idea really of representing anything like that, but of course, now we all know, of course, particularly if you've been following your podcast, you know this, that the Quran is what? It's what do we believe about the Quran versus, say, like the words of the Bible, for example?
The Quran is the direct word of God.
It is the direct word of God, right? This is why you never say something like Muhammad wrote in the Quran or something like that. In the Bible, we have, right, the Gospel according to Matthew. We have the letters of Paul. In the Quran, we have what? The words of God in Arabic. Exactly. So we can represent these, and this is not like a form of idolatry, right? Where we can't draw pictures of God because we don't know what God looks like, but we do know the words that God has. And so that's what God gave us, was His words, and so that's what we use for art. And of course, the other idea is this inspires people to learn the language and to delve deeper. Okay, right, Mumtaz. Your hopes. All right, good. Okay, so the big question we always get: what's the difference between Arabic calligraphy and Chinese calligraphy? Yeah, Brooke. This is in Chinese. Okay, that's all right. See, that's the difference. One of them's written in Chinese. Okay, so you see a lot of this everywhere. You're in China. Okay. So the difference, right? So calligraphy is really big in Chinese as well. You can actually take a course. If you were a Chinese major, you could count it for credit. Right. Okay. So what's the difference? Okay. So this is very interesting, I think. Okay, so in Chinese calligraphy, the idea is you're trying to get the perfect representation of the character. And so this is why you notice they're all the same size, right? If you've ever seen the paper they use, it's got squares on it, and every character is supposed to fit exactly into the square by proportions. Whether it's a small one with like 4 strokes or one with like 13 strokes in it, fits the exact same size in the exact same proportions. So someone can look at this and say, okay, that line's too big, and that's off center, and so forth. And that's the idea. In Arabic, it's the exact opposite. Okay, you can do anything, as we're going to see. You can move these lines around anywhere you want. You could put them in different orders. You can move the dots anywhere you like. And as we'll see, you can add marks that actually aren't part of the word or anything else just to fill it up. So we can go wild with it. So it's completely different. Of course, we have modern Chinese calligraphy now, but this is the real stuff. So that's the difference. So this is very good. So for those of you who are in 101 now, with Ustad Garwan, he tells you your handwriting's not correct. Say, dude, it's art. That's the way I write it. You don't like it? Get some art appreciation. Okay. Next thing is about the materials we use, or materials we will not be using. Okay, so Chinese calligraphy is done with a brush. Okay, and as you notice, it looks like brush strokes. I mean, it has, when you look closer, you see the impressions of like sort of the blots and the ink spreading. Arabic calligraphy, on the exactly opposite. We don't do with a brush, we do with a sharp edge, whatever it is, a sharp tool, because we want nice, sharp lines. So it's sort of the opposite. I mean, for Chinese calligraphy to be good, it has to have sort of a brush strokey thing, so you can tell that someone brushed it, so you can see like little gaps in a little area where the ink has spread a little bit. In Arabic, that would be junky. That would be no good. So the first piece of advice to give you when you do this is whatever you do, you make the line and you leave it. Where it gets, as long as you do your thing, do it fast, it'll be good. Where it gets messy, when you go back and say, oh, I want to fix this up, fix that, and it starts to spread, and it's a mess. Okay, so what do we use? You don't use a brush. So Arabic calligraphy is done with this a reed. This is a reed, and this is like a basic one that has not been cut. So you cut your own. These ones you can buy them already cut. You see, it makes a nice sharp edge, chiseled edge. These things are insanely hard to use because what it is we'll pass it around, but you can see it's fibrous, and so it will absorb the ink to a certain extent, but it's like way hard to get it to absorb the right amount, so just enough comes out, and you try this, you play with it, and then you say, okay, well, this is way too hard. Anyway, but that's what the pros use, and nobody here is a pro. So, and of course, the ink, you can buy the ink in like any art supply store. We will not use this today. This is stuff you get one microscopic drop on here, and it will be on every surface that you want. This, but you do, if you want it to look good, you do want to get this kind of ink, because if you get like India ink or something, it bleeds through. It looks like chintzy gray. Okay, so we shan't use reeds. Hey, everybody loves the Sharpie. So you get a Sharpie, as long as you have a chisel tip, it has to have a sharp edge. As long as you have a chiseled tip, that's good. You can go to an Islamic center, and if you take an actual course in calligraphy, they're going to use Sharpies. Unless you're like the pro, or maybe for the final, you use something. They use a Sharpie. Good. So you want to run out and buy some supplies. Don't buy the calligraphy stuff they sell in the bookstore here, or in Michael's, or any place else. Anything that's made to do left to right is not going to work on right to left. And the reason is these things are made to bend. And so if you're going left to right, it'll bend the correct way. If you're trying to do Arabic, which goes from right to left, all it's going to do is rip the paper. So don't go out and buy a fancy calligraphy pen. It's not going to work on these kind of letters. Use the Sharpie. Okay, use it till it's not sharp anymore, then smallish. Okay, so how about that, Brandon? You're wondering what kind of styles we have, right? Okay, so let's see, many styles of Arabic calligraphy. We'll talk about a few of them. This is Kufic, which you probably see. Usually you see this like on inscriptions and stuff. It's actually the oldest style from Kufa, which many of you know was the capital of the caliphate before back that. I don't like it. It looks droopy, but that's what people use. Nasakh. You know, the word nasakh means to copy. Like this is a nuskha. And so nasakh is like the basic style. This technically is what we read and write, even though what you write doesn't look much like that. But this is like the standard Arabic, because this is for copying manuscripts, this is what they used. They didn't have copy machines, so whatever. When they wanted copies of Ibn Battuta, people would copy it using that. Probably the most popular is thuluth. If you go take a course, it's probably going to be on thuluth. And we know thuluth yani means a third, and the reason is because of the length of the point. It was 1/3 larger than the one they used for this. All right. This one we see a lot. Farsi, obviously, means what it is. And lastly, Diwani. This is my favorite style. Diwani. This one is in Diwani. This is actually from the Ottomans. They're the ones who introduced this, but it became very popular. And of course, the thing about Diwani is the circular shape. Like everything is supposed to fit into a circle. And Ruqa is kind of what you use for handwriting. There are many other styles. There is square Kufic, which you will see a lot. It's based on the Kufi. Okay, so and the biggest question, of course, we always get, Emily, is can you actually how can you read this stuff? Okay, so the thing is, the only reason we can read it is because we know what it says. Like the guy's talking about, there's certain things that are done over and over, certain verses from the Quran, certain hadith which are done over and over, so you know what you're looking for. Like this is one of the most common. This is the same as this. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, in the name of God, the merciful and compassionate. So you know, or you know that's B-ism. So you know what you're looking for. You know when you see a lot of straight lines, that's the name of God. And so you can pick it out. So we kind of know what we're looking for. If someone just did a calligraphy of like the instructions to bake a cake, I mean, no one would know what it said. So I mean, I've been with native speakers who look at this stuff on a building and say, I have no idea what it says. Okay, so that's why. So don't feel bad if this doesn't jump right out at you. This we know what it says because this is probably one of the most common things you can write. This is the Shahada. And notice, right, La, that's a La, which we can recognize. When you see a lot of straight lines like that, it's the name of God, which this is. And so we can recognize it. If, I mean, whatever, if Ustad Gurwan was writing his shopping list in this and you took it to Kroger, you'd end up buying all the wrong stuff. Okay?
Dog stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, we'll just show you just a little bit. You see this a lot. So, as we said, in art, you can kind of go wild with this. But actually, for doing this, for copying things, there are standard sizes and dimensions for the letters. And it's done based on these nuqt. Right? And the nuqt is it's like a diamond, but it's based on the width of this point, and then of course dragging it across, you make a square, then you make a diamond out of it, so it's easy to measure. Right? So you can, there's a certain proportion. You'll see that one. Okay, polish. Alrighty. What do I want to show you? Okay, I want to show you. Okay, so here's an example. You've seen this. Everyone know what this is? This is the flag of Iran. Maybe you've looked at it and not known what it said in the past, but now you know a little bit. So here in the center, this is
Allah?
yeah, yeah, right. This is Allah. This is the name of God. It doesn't look a whole lot like it. So obviously, and it's stylized, so it also looks like a sword. But right, this is Allah. Part of the shadda here gives it away. All right, but what they're doing is sort of stylizing it, and this is what we can do with the calligraphy. Right, Allah should be right. Should look something, and it has a shadda like this. But they found out that actually this word is very close to being symmetrical. If I can just mess with it a little bit, you can make it non-symmetrical, like not joining up the ha. Kind of making it so it's not joined, and then making it so it's really not joined. So you get this. So this is the aleph, right? Lam, lam, and this is a ha that is not joined up. And I find you can make it symmetrical like that. So that says, all right, so that's, we know what that is. That's the name of God. Now, again, if you didn't know what it was supposed to be, you could never tell. Now, sure, what about this? I'll give you a hint. It's a repeating pattern. This is it one time, and it repeats over and over again. Okay, Alex. Oh, Tarafin. All right, this says Allahu Akbar. God is the greatest. Now you say, yeah, it doesn't look a whole lot like that. Okay, so what it is, right? Allah Akbar. Now, what they've done, put the aleph here. That's the kaf. That's the ba. They move the dot here, and that's the r. Right? And this is the ha. So it's very stylized. Again, you wouldn't know what that said, except it looks close enough. You know this is a very, very common written thing. Okay. So that's what's on the Iranian flag. Okay. So here's an example. This is some modern stuff. Again, who knows? Unless you knew what that person was writing. Who knows what it says? Okay. Now, here again are some examples. You say, well, these look like we're representing living things, and they are. Okay, so this is not quite, pure, but it's, it's artsy. So you can do all of that, right? Obviously, this is a person praying. We have animal shapes and so forth. What else do we have? Okay, right. Here's some nice style. Right. Here's some modern stuff. Anyone want to guess at this one says? Oh yeah. So and again, you wouldn't know, right? If I were trying to send you a secret message, you wouldn't know. But it's one of these very common things that we've seen several times. And so you look for anything that looks vaguely familiar. If you look, you can notice. Yeah, exactly, right? It's this is the same as this, is the same as this, right? Bismillah, in the name of God. Here's our B, here's our Ba, there's your Sin, there's your Mim. And so once you know that, then you can look for the rest of the stuff. But again, once you know that, yeah, okay. And all right, so by now, you can probably guess. This is exactly, right? This is the name of God. Again, it doesn't look much like it, but because we know, we're familiar with that. So we just want to show you, before we get going, I'm going to show you, now, most of this you can recognize, right? You can recognize a letter, that's a ba, that's an ein, that's a dod, right? You can recognize these are short vowels, and again, you throw them in where they're nice, like, so on this one, we're trying to make, okay, bism, but want it to fit in a circle. That's not going to fit in a circle well. We take this kasra, put it down here, make it really big, and we sort of get the circular shape on it. So we can do that. But, right, you know this, you see, it's a shadda, there's a dhamma. Just what about the rest of the stuff? What about this here, and this one, Okay, these are just decoration. They don't mean anything. They're just put in there to fill this thing out. So again, you see we can do that. Like on this one, there's a bunch of them in there to make it fit in a circle. So you can do that. You can add these things which don't actually have any meaning and they're not actually part of the word. So that's the idea. Like in Chinese calligraphy, everything had to be perfect and you know, all the right proportions. In Arabic, we can do all sorts of stuff. Like, for example, this one, right? The Ism Allah. This is the name of God here again, which you know that's Aleph, Lam, Lam. The Aleph is here. Here's the two lambs, and this is the hat that's not connected. So we can move the word, we can move the letters around in any order we want. Okay. Next time, Stadler 1 tells you something is spelled wrong, you just tell them, dude, this is art. Okay. Okay. That's good. Any questions before we begin? No, you want to practice? Okay, so that is why we're here. So, inshallah, we will give you some things. We will pass these around. Okay. We'll give everyone 1.5 of those. Okay, so these are some resources for you. There's actually a ton of free stuff all over YouTube. If you just put like Arabic calligraphy lessons, there is tons and tons of stuff that comes up. I mean, whole courses that will show you how to do all the letters. So that's some of them. That one from the Arabic Academy, you can go there and actually download it. And it's a whole bunch of sheets. It does it's alphabet, and it's got like tracing. You just trace them, and then it'll print out as a whole big thing. But there's tons of stuff. And of course, the easiest thing to do, and you know this, you just go on like Google Images, print something out like this, and you can either select the image and make the black really faint, or you can trace right over it. So that's the easiest way to go. So we'll give you that, and inshallah, I don't know if we have enough of these, but if not, we can fight over them. Really nasty. Okay, so these are some things for you. This is an example someone did of all the letters in Thoth. All right, if you wanted to practice those. These are all the letters in Diwani. Okay, but then we have some examples. Now the tricky thing, you know, of course, like 99-point-something% of Arabic calligraphy is religious. So it's like really hard to find ones that are not. So like this one right here is very popular. El-Nur, right? Knowledge is light. I mean, that is a religious statement, but it doesn't have. So we made some here that are not religious things. So we have, okay, this first one obviously is this one, you know. This one, Hona. This is As-salam, right? As-salam, peace. This one here. Assalamu alaikum, right? This is Assalamu alaikum. And can you guess what script this is in? Just both. Notice the curvy aleph is the giveaway. That's Diwani, yes. Okay, right, so our way of celebrating the Ottoman Turks and all the wonderful things they did. Over to Riyadh and tell them how much you love it. Okay. This one again, Salam Alaikum, and this last one, Marhaban, right? Marhaban bikum. So we have one you can follow, then I like one you can trace, and then space you can do your own, and then we have all kinds of nice colored papers that you can use. Okay, and so I'll give you these. You can use this to put underneath so we don't get any marks on our lovely desks here. And we will be using a fabulous Expo chisel tip marker for its wonderful cheapness, for its quality. All right. Oh, okay. And so you know, yeah, Linda, you know. So the idea, we hold this at an angle. All right, and that gives us the stroke, so you can see how it is, how you get a sharp, right, like a sharp edge and then a flat edge. And it's not going to work well on this, right? But like it like that. Yeah. Okay, so mesh, it'll work better on the paper. So come on up and get that. Don't play with the ink. So you can get some of those. Get some of these lovely things.
Thank you.
Please give us back the pens or the department will go broke.
You're the bomb.com. Yeah.
This here is a fabulously expensive set of books you got as a gift from the government of Qatar. It's lovely. You can see some.
This book, the study book?
Yeah. Oh. Okay, yeah, so we're going to try and do that. All right.
Okay.
But I want this. They forced me to do it bigger. I mean, like, yeah. Mine is This is just the stuff that's it's fine. It's just like